Okay, sorry I'm running a little late today. So um it's Friday, so Friday is basically a review day for this. Um I'll just talk a little bit about a couple learning materials we haven't done, and then we'll have you look at the practice problems. Again, if you want to work some more on printing out the diamonds, seeing how far you got with that. If you want to continue that, again, the idea is that you should post something to discussion as far as you got. You're not going to be scored on how far you get. We just want you to do that as a learning activity. And then for the assignment this week, there's three different options. You just have to pick one of these options to do. I'll warn you, the hollow plus sign assignment is very much like the diamond one. You say how big of a plus sign do you want, and it will print off this. This is not an easy, uh, that is not probably the easiest of the three options. Let's just say that for that. So if you want to challenge the hollow plus sign is a good challenge. That so far is, I think, the only assignment so far that if you just cut and paste the assignment into an AI, the AI won't be able to do it. Here, at least last I checked, the AI couldn't. That's the first one the AI couldn't do right out of the box here. So if you want to be smarter than AI, you can try that one here. Okay, let's just jump into the learning material a little bit, see how we did with that. So again, we're talking for loops here and nested for loops here. There's something called loops and strings, and we're going to get into that in just the lower part of this stuff. So yeah, we walked through the basic loops. Um, there's a guessing game here, and this is kind of a nice example that Chris walks through where you start with this game with a while loop and you guess, and then you ask the user, do you want to play again? And you repeat there. And that actually isn't done with a for loop, but with a loop inside a loop. So we have a while loop, and inside that we have outside that we have a do loop here. So we have a loop that we put around things. And one thing you should start kind of trying to figure out is we have three types of loops: a while loop, a do while loop, and a for loop. And when would you use one or the other? So if you're going to do something a set number of times at the beginning of a loop, you can say, I'm going to do this 10 times. A for loop's very good with that. If you know at the start of the loop how many times you're going to do it, for loop's ready to go. But if you don't, like if the user, you're going to ask the user, do you want to play again? You don't know how many times the user is going to say that, then you should be doing either a while loop or a do while loop. If you always do it first and then check at the bottom and see if you want to do it again, that's a do while. The while check is at the bottom. If you don't at the start, you want to check if you even want to do it once, that's a while loop. So if you zero more times is a while loop, you check at the beginning. If you always do it once and at the bottom you want to check if you want to do it again, that's a do while generally. So those are kind of the general rules. Chris goes over the golf score example here, and this is, again, you're doing a 9-hole golf course, entering scores for that. You know there's 9 holes. That's a for loop, and he walks through that, so that's a good one. Let's look at some examples of strings here. What we can do is use for loops with strings here, and there's the textbook talks about that here. Think Java's here, and I forgot the CIS Awesome talks about loops and strings here. Or that, so I should have moved that down here. Just going to show you how that works real quick. Once you have a string, there's a way we can call to get a single character of that string here. So I'm just going to do a sample project here. So I'm going to read in a word for this. I'm just going to ask you to enter a word. And then I'm going to print that word out in a for loop here. So I have this word, a variable called word. And so I'm going to do a for loop to go through each character of the word. So some neat things I can do, I can say for int count equals 0, count less than word dot length. So I can get the length of the word. Every string has its length, and I can say count plus plus. So this will count through every word. Now, then I'm going to say print, and I'm going to print out the word, and I'm going to say each character at count. Now, one thing when we count and we look at things like this in computers, the first character is not number 1. You'd think you'd start counting at 1, but the first character is always 0, or the first character spot is 0. So we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And so when we're doing this sort of stuff, most of our loops so far, you may have started count as 1 and count less than or equal to the max here, but it's going to be more common going forward. We start at count equals 0 and count less than, not less than equal, the max or the word length. So if I run this and I enter a word, so I say hello, it'll print out each letter on a separate line here because it's doing print line. So I can loop through this. And we'll see this more. We'll store a lot more things, kind of like we do with strings here. Now, because I can do this, I can also print the word backwards here. Here's a loop that'll print the word backwards. Oops. Maybe I'll just do a little print out here. So now if I enter a sample word, I can print off, again, 1 character per line. I can also print off the word backwards here, just showing that I can loop through this word and access each character, each spot in it. So often when we're trying to manage words, or again, you can do the same thing with text where you have a whole list of words or something like that. We'll look later at how strings are stored and how we store other things in a list and loop through and do something for each item in the list here. So this is just a preview of that. So just want you to start thinking that with loops, we can actually access this data one component of a time. Okay. Okay, so let's figure out, go back here to some review problems. Well, here, I forgot to do announcements. So some quick announcements here. We're starting advisement, and so you're signing up for figuring out what you're going to take for spring courses. If you're a first-year student, you're advised by your Dignitas advisee or your Dignitas teacher, which is good. They know a lot about what first-year students would take, but they don't necessarily know each major that well. So if you're a computer major and you want to talk to computer faculty about it, you can just, we do a lot of advising of first-year students too. So your Dignitas person is your primary advisor. They give you a pin, they approve your schedule, that sort of stuff. But we can serve as a secondary advisor. So if you want to just talk to me or another computer faculty, you can. Here's my appointment calendar. There's lots of slots open for next week. So if you just want to talk to me, what are the options in the computer major? What should I be considering? What's a data analytics minor? Complicated things. You're trying to figure out how to do this or that. Can I fit in this minor? Can I do this? What about that? we can talk about that. I know a lot about the schedule, especially when computer classes are offered. For example, let's say you wanted to go to Ireland and do a study abroad in Ireland. Well, how do we fit that into your schedule when you have required courses that are offered every semester? So we'll talk about that and options, how you can take a course online, or how you can move the courses around so that you can fit study abroad into your schedule for most places or something like that. So um, feel free to sign up for advising time next semester. All right. Review questions. So again, what I want you to be working on is one of a couple things. There are the practice problems here for this that you can try out for different options here. Now the practice problems are getting a little more complicated and harder, so you have to see how these go. Again, the ones on the left are usually the easiest ones for this. So you can do the practice problems. You can do for the assignment. And again, you don't turn in their practice problems. They're just like that. They're just practice problems. You don't get credit for them. They just help you learn. And then there's assignment. You have to do one of these three options by Monday and submit this. So assignment, you have to submit there. And again, if you really want to get back to the diamonds and work some more on the diamonds and printing those out, you can do that also. Although again, you just have to submit something to the discussion for that. Questions on what you want to be doing? So why don't you get started? Figure out which one of these you want to do here. Might be sitting in back of the class. We've got an alumni who's out in Boston working out there, and he's just stopped by. So he's gonna visit with me a little bit, but don't worry, he's not important. You are important because you are a current student. He's an alumni. We don't care about him. I'll just keep him entertained and out of the way so that when you raise your hand, I'll rush over and help you. Got that?